Hello, everyone, and welcome to another rapid fire SAT question. I'm Marco, and again, today we're looking at a conventions of standard English question. I love English grammar, so for the time being, we are going to be looking at these types of questions. So let's get into it. All right. Former First Lady of the United States, Eleanor Roosevelt, and Indian activist and educator Hansa Mehta were instrumental in drafting the United Nations Universal Declaration of Human Rights, a document that blank the basic freedoms to which all people are entitled. All right, that's a long sentence, right? We only have one period at the end of the example given. Okay, but that's not a big deal. Let's look for any other important punctuation marks. Aha, we have a comma here. So let's read the sentence up until the comma. Former First Lady of the United States, Eleanor Roosevelt, and Indian activist and educator Hansa Mehta were instrumental in drafting the United Nations Universal Declaration of Human Rights. Okay, that makes sense, right? If I said this to you out of nowhere, right, randomly, that would make sense. Okay, so the first clause of the sentence, right, is an independent clause, right? Independent clause. And it is an idea that can stand alone as a complete sentence, right? So if I said this idea to you, you would understand it and it would make sense, okay? So now let's go on to the second clause, right? We have another clause, excuse me, after the comma, okay? So a document, let me get the arrow, a document that blank the basic freedoms to which all people are entitled. Okay, I don't want to put a verb here. Just imagine I said a verb because if I add a random verb, it might give away the answer to the question. So if I said this to you out of nowhere, you'd be like, what? That makes no sense. Okay. What are you talking about? It wouldn't be clear what I'm referencing, right? So this clause here is what we call a dependent clause. Okay, it is an idea that is incomplete, okay, and cannot stand alone as a complete sentence, meaning you need additional information, another clause, so that it makes sense, okay? All right, so now let's focus on this dependent clause because the blank space, well, the question needs to be answered in this area, in this dependent clause. So let's look here. A document. A document is our subject, okay? It is a noun. So a document is a singular noun. So I'm going to put here subject equals a document, okay? This is singular. This is a singular noun, okay? So that means the verb that goes here has to be conjugated for a singular subject, right? A singular noun or pronoun. Now, we have here in between the space and the subject, the relative pronoun that. Okay, which means that this here is what we call a relative clause, okay? So if we use a relative pronoun, that means that this clause is going to be describing the subject, right? It's going to give us additional information about this noun or pronoun, okay? So that's just a little extra information that you may find useful. Technically, you could figure out the verb conjugation without knowing that this is a relative clause because the verb conjugation still has to be conjugated for a singular noun or pronoun. So let's look at our options here, okay? Have outlined. Okay, have outlined is conjugated for present perfect sentences. Our helping verb have is plural, meaning it will only work with plural nouns or plural pronouns. Since document is singular, we're going to cross that out immediately, okay? We're going to go on to the next one. Were outlining. Okay, were outlining is a past continuous conjugation, okay? So again, the helping verb, were. This is used with plural subjects, plural nouns, or plural pronouns. It will not agree with our noun, a document, okay? So we're going to cross that out. All right, then we get into present simple verbs. So the first present simple verb here is outlines. Okay, this looks good. This looks like a potential answer because we know when we conjugate in the present simple for singular subjects, we need to add the suffix s. I'm going to put a little dot here just to make sure we're correct. I'm going to finish and look at option D, letter D, and see that it doesn't work. All right, you always want to be it's better to be safe than sorry, excuse me. Okay, so we're going to look here. Outline. Outline again is a present simple verb. However, because there is no suffix, this means it's conjugated for a plural subject. And that's not going to work with our singular subject, a document. So in the end, right, as was clear before, but always best to double check, you never know. Outlines is going to be our correct answer, okay? All right, everyone. I hope you enjoyed this content. If you did, please leave a like, a comment, and subscribe. I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.